Thoughts on why, but you can make your points first if you want.
Well, we'll see. But let's jump into that first topic because last night the Celtics, I don't even think crushed was the word. It seemed like the entire team was just decimated emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever you want to say. The Celtics did not look right. They lost 128-102 to the Miami Heat. The Heat are now up 3-0 on the series, and we're going to talk about this even with the Nuggets series because both series are 3-0 in favor of, actually, the Heat are the 8th seed. So the Nuggets are 3-0 over the Lakers, Heat are 3-0 over the Celtics. Teams that are down 0-3 are 0-149 in coming back from those series. Hasn't happened yet. I believe this is also the first time that each conference finals could end in a sweep. But at the same time, which is actually crazy. I believe that is the first time it's ever happened. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what these next couple days tell us. Tonight, we do have the Nuggets. We'll talk about the next topic. But let's begin with this one. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. The two superstars, some people say, the two main pieces, I call them, on the Celtics, combined for 1 of 14 from 3 last night. Butler nearly had a triple-double, but it was Gabe Vincent dropping over 29 points he had? Yeah, 29 points in this game. Everyone says an undrafted player. So I want to know, what do you think was the reason the Heat were able to go up 3-0 in the series and absolutely dominate the Celtics in Game 3 specifically?
They want it more. That's it. They want it more. They got a chip on their shoulder. They have a bunch of players that weren't even drafted. They're out there to show they're as good as anybody, and they're proving it. And I think that the Celtics' performance is embarrassing, and that they came into this series thinking, we're going to walk all over these guys, right? And they've been beaten handily here, and I think that the coaching by the Heat's coach, Spoelstra, is excellent. That guy is really an excellent coach, and the Celtics' Mazzulla is a disaster. He's a failure. And they picked him up. They gave him the job as an interim. They should have kept it interim. They shouldn't have given it to him as a full-time coach because he doesn't have enough experience, and he's been making tons of mistakes in the way he's been coaching the team along the way here. And it finally caught up to them in this series. They didn't look that good in the Atlantic series, actually, right? They kind of stumbled along the way here in the playoffs. They haven't been dominating at all. And now they finally got their heads handed to them by a team that's really going for it, knows what they're doing, plays together well, has a lot of chemistry, is very well coached, and knows what they want to do. They want to win. That's my view.
Well, I will say this. Mazzulla's ideology of threes has been shown throughout the playoffs. And so here are the numbers for the three-point shooting from either side. The Heat have been the better shooting team from three. So Mazzulla's ideology of let's shoot threes. And by the way, this was last year the number one three-point shooting team in the NBA. This season they were 27th. It's weird how you go from 1st to 27th with essentially the same guys, if not even better. I mean, you lost Tyler
one
Hero
of your
as well.
best players is hurt.
Right. The guy who averaged over 20 points coming off the bench.
Hasn't even played in any of the
played a
playoff
single
games.
second in this series.
Yeah.
And yet you're still shooting nearly 50%
Duncan
from three.
Robinson, 22 points last night.
He had a great game. It was shocking to see. He also hit 3 threes in the fourth quarter, which was not crucial because they were dominating, but still, 12 points in the fourth quarter really shut them down. It's funny because Joe Mazzulla, by the way, I first want to talk about the threes before I jump into Mazzulla because I have his post-game conference here. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, like it says in the topic board in the lower third, combined for 1 of 14 from 3. We have that one singular 3. Take a look at the timestamp of this 3. This is the 3 right here. Take a look at the timestamp. 10:57 in the first quarter. That was the first attempt from either person. They went on to miss 13 straight threes after that point. Jaylen Brown went 0 of 7 from 3. I named him Mr. Consistency on this team because he's generally consistent. However, from the 3 ball in this series, he's been consistently terrible, shooting a rare percentage of single digits from 3. 7.1% from 3-point range in the series. He's shooting 32.5% from the floor, which is about 6.5 out of every 20 attempts, 6.5 makes. He's averaging 14 points in this series. He hasn't been good.
No.
This shows exactly what great coaching gets you. And there is a great coaching disparity between Eric Spoelstra and Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla, first-time head coach, but so is Ime Udoka. You got to put that in there. The difference between Mazzulla and Ime Udoka is simply the ideology of the team. Ime Udoka went old school. Hard defense, try on every single play. And Mazzulla is more new school. Let's focus on the 3 ball. And something that I didn't really understand, and maybe you could help me out with this, you were down 3-2 to the Sixers with that with the smaller lineup. Then you put in Robert Williams and you bench Derek White. You win Game 6, dominating, at least on the defensive side. In Game 7 again, you allowed, 86 points in Game 7 to the Sixers? Now, it didn't work for you in the first 2 games against the Heat because, honestly, you threw the game away. You were up big leads in the first 2 games and threw it away. And so in Game 3, you decide to resort back to your smaller lineup? You put Derek White back in the starting lineup?
That's obviously the mistake.
And he shot 3 of 9.
Yeah.
9 points.
Well, I'll say one more thing that I brought up along the way during the year. The Celtics didn't play good defense, right? They were number 1 defensive team last year, and you're right. Udoka, he went old school, and he had those guys playing really tough defense. That made a huge difference. A huge difference, and they just don't do it this year. They haven't been doing it. They like to admire the arc of their 3-point shot, which doesn't go in a lot of the time. Hasn't been going in these playoffs.
Yeah.
So, I think that coaching is a big part of this. He's got the players out there thinking about winning instead of thinking about playing basketball. And they played very poorly in this series. They had those 2 big leads. They couldn't hang on to them because they don't play defense. Right. They let the Heat back into the game, and they this last game, Jimmy Butler didn't have a fantastic game, right? It's the role players that really perform. Look at Gabe Vincent, 29 points. Duncan Robinson, 22 points. How do they let those guys have that?
Caleb Martin had 18.
Yeah, that bench just obliterated the Celtics bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was at one point in the game where the Celtics had 35 points. I believe the bench players from Miami had 33 total points, which is absolutely absurd. I do want to get to the post game interview. This was Joe Mazzulla post game asking about who this big loss is on, who the series is on, and this is what he had to say.
Yeah, I just didn't have him ready to play. I should have. Whatever it was, whether it was the starting lineup, whether it was an adjustment, I have to get them in a better place, ready to play, and that's on me. At the time, you think you say what needs to be said, but at the same time, I just have to be better. I got to make sure when we step on that floor that we're ready to execute, we're ready to be physical, we're ready to play harder than the other team. That's my job. Yeah, I think some of that defensive identity has been lost, and we have to get that back, and that's where part of that is on me to make sure we get that back. These last couple games, I think just the execution, we're not connected. Usually at our best, we're connected, we're together. we're physical on the defensive end, and we don't have that right now. Yeah, the most important thing is how can we get our defensive identity? How can we get just a clear understanding of what it looks like on an offensive end, and just keep it as simple as we can so that we're connected and we're physical, and we play with the right mindset and we play together.
So that was Joe Mazzulla talking about, what happened in Game 3. A lot of defensive identity you've been missing.
Game 3 or yeah,
this is Game 3.
Yeah, that's right. So down 3-0. Yeah.
He was talking a lot about about the team's defensive identity, and he didn't want to put it on.
They don't have one.
He didn't want to put it on the superstars on the team or the main stars on the team. He wanted to put it all on himself.
Well,
I don't know if it's because he lost the locker room or it feels like he's losing the locker room that he has to put the blame on himself. But I will say this: you can't always put it on yourself. It is also on your players. You have a guy who should be consistently great in Jaylen Brown. He's the most consistent guy maybe on this team. You also have Jason Tatum, who could drop 35 on any given night, but he could also shoot 14 points and go 1 of 7 from the 3 and 6 of 18 from the floor. And also, I'll say this: the superstar Jason Tatum, in 3 games in the series, is now 0 for 3. He went 0 for 0 in Game 1 in the fourth quarter, didn't take a shot. He took 3 shots in Game 2, didn't make a single one of them. And the fourth quarter, they were getting blown out so much, he was a DNP, did not play.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think the Mazzulla is on to something in terms of blaming himself about the defense, because Udoka was able to get those guys to play good defense last year, and this year they don't.
That is true.
And I also put on Mazzulla. He didn't play Grant Williams. He had him on the bench, not playing at all there for a while. Then suddenly he's in there. He disrupted the whole flow of the way they play, and I think that he said they're disconnected. Well, I can understand why they would be. You keep shuffling the way the strategy on who starts and who's in there, whether it's a big or a small lineup. You go one to the other, and it's got I think it has disrupted the chemistry of the players and got them confused. And this is the result. They got blown out, 128-102.
Yeah.
Disgraceful.
It's going to be crazy to see. Even Magic Johnson had to comment on this game, and he said he never thought he would see a Celtics team give up. And it looks like they've completely given up.
They gave up.
Jason Tatum has no confidence. That 1-3 was the only 3 that either him and Jaylen Brown made. Jaylen Brown, the entire from the jump, the Celtics were complaining to the refs every single time. Marcus Smart got, I believe, a technical in this game. It was very, very bad. The Celtics didn't know what exactly they were doing. Now the question is, how do they go into Game 4? Game 4 will be tomorrow, 8:30. How do they go into the Game 4 and win a game, or are they just going to lay down and just take the loss and get swept?
Well, if they have any pride at all, they'll come out and try to win the game, right? If they have any pride at all. If they don't, and they get blown out again, then I think they ought to blow up the team. You wouldn't bring back the core. First, I don't think you can bring back the core. Yeah. You need to pay $613 million to 2 guys. They aren't worth it.
By the way, I'll say this again: Jason Tatum is first team All NBA, Jaylen Brown's second team All NBA, and then they're putting up pedestrian numbers. I'll also say this: the Grant Williams decision to play him all of a sudden in Game 2 made a lot of sense, because you put in Peyton Pritchard in Game 1, he got absolutely shredded. Here's the thing: people were clowning on.
What the heck was he doing in there anyway?
That's a great question.
He hardly even played at all during the year, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly he shows up out there guarding a guy that's 2 feet taller than he is. I don't. What are they thinking about? I don't understand.
I'll say this: no, and Grant Williams and Jimmy Butler got into it in Game 2. The thing is, it's not like Grant Williams played bad defense. Jimmy Butler was just a better player. Like, he was shooting over Grant Williams, but Grant Williams was still in his face. And you don't poke the bear.
Well, they controlled Jimmy Butler in this game.
In this game,
had
they
16
did.
points.
But he also didn't play any of the fourth quarter as well. So he could have had more, but I just think, overall, they didn't need him to. You even had Kevin Love dropping in a 3 there. He may be out for Game 4. He's dealing with apparently like a back issue he had early in the game. I don't understand these moves. I really don't. You have you change up the starting lineup, the starting lineup that actually saved your season against the Sixers. I think if you start this 3-point shooting lineup in Game 6, you're going to lose in 6 to the Sixers. And you decide to change it up when you're down 2-0 to the Heat. No, the reason you were losing was not because you were starting off slow and you need to shoot more threes. The reason you were losing is because in the fourth quarter you couldn't score a bucket, and the main guy on your team wasn't even shooting the ball.
That's right. And they didn't take any when Miami was making their runs in the third quarter. Right, they didn't take any timeouts.
Right,
they just let them keep that momentum and go right down there and score, and blow them out in the third quarter. And then the fourth quarter, they're decimated.
Right,
it's coaching. I think most of it's coaching. But I do think these guys are prima donnas on the Celtics. They don't have the heart that we go back to the teams of Larry Bird and McHale and Parrish. Danny Ainge and Dennis Johnson. Those are teams that had heart. Well, they really they knew what it was. They knew what it was.
Paul Pierce, the Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen.
They knew what it was to wear the Celtics uniform.
I mean, I would say the same thing about
guys don't.
Was it the 2008 NBA Finals? The Celtics literally turned their season around. Were they like dead last in the NBA? Then they make the trade for.
They brought in the superstars.
Yeah, they was it Ray Allen they traded for. And they also brought
Paul Pierce was there. He was always there.
They brought in Kevin Garnett as well.
That made the difference.
And then what? They absolutely flipped their season around. And I would say that's how you do it. That's how you do it. They also had, I believe they had Rajon Rondo on that team as well. He was a distributor, which the Celtics don't seem to have, once again, a pure distributor.
They turn the ball over too much, too. They try to... I think Jason Tatum would be better off just catching and shooting than trying to drive down the lane. He loses the ball most of the time when he does that.
Him and Jaylen Brown have had
and then when he gets near the basket, why not dunk it instead of trying to do a layup, which he misses half the time? I can't believe it.
I will say this. We have harked on the Knicks' ability to get rebounds. The Celtics have no problem getting rebounds. They had 57 to 35. 57 rebounds to 35 rebounds. That's a 22 rebound disparity.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help when, you give up 54.3% from the three to the Heat and you only shoot 26.2.
26%.
26%.
From three and 54% from Miami. That's the difference in the game right there.
I mean, the rebounds weren't the problem. You out-rebounded by 22.
Yeah.
Look at this number. The Celtics had 21 offensive rebounds. The Heat had 1. A 20 offensive rebound disparity, and you got blown out. Because the thing was, no matter what the rebound, the Celtics were getting offensive rebounds, but it didn't matter. They were just bricking every shot after that. So it would these offensive rebounds. Well, the number you look at is really they had 20 more offensive rebounds. It didn't matter. The Celtics just got absolutely decimated.
Yeah, they couldn't shoot the ball.
And it's gonna be.
They can't play defense.
It's gonna be interesting to see what the next moves are.
You can't play defense. You're not gonna win.
That's for damn sure. So I expect them to get swept. Okay, I want to say this before we go into the next topic. ESPN analytics need to whoever's on that staff needs to be fired or whatever, because the Celtics still, according to the ESPN Power Index, have a chance at winning this series.
Winning this series?
I couldn't believe it. And guess what? They even have a chance at winning Game 4. A 66%, I checked earlier today, a 66% chance to win Game 4 in Miami after just getting blown out.
I think they'll be very lucky to win that game. I don't think they got the heart to do it, and I think Miami has got the dagger. They got the motivation. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder. They got 3 undrafted players they're playing there that are doing well. And Jimmy Butler is their leader, and they've got the chemistry and the great coach. I think the Celtics lose Game 4.
They get swept, which would be crazy. And Julius Randle said it himself. They want it more than we do.
Yeah.
And the entire playoffs, it seemed like they just cared way more than any other team.
And to think that they lost to Atlanta in the play-in.
Badly.
Badly.
Very badly.
Unbelievable. I don't believe it. I thought, they've lost some of their starters. And I could understand why they didn't play well. But look what they've done. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
It's crazy to think the Knicks gave them the hardest run for their money. It's crazy to think that.
Yeah.
The Knicks. They went 6 with the Knicks.
Given that the Knicks really in the playoffs only have one player, Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
The rest of them didn't show up.
RJ's inconsistent. Quentin
They
Grimes.
didn't really show up. The rest of the team, it was Brunson.
It was
they need to
crazy
find somebody to play with Brunson.
Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown. Wow. Oh, we'll see. So I think we should agree that the Celtics are probably looking to get swept in Game 4, which would be kind of crazy.
I'd say Jaylen Brown in this series and kind of in this playoffs, he's hurt his value.
Maybe. Although it could just be one of those unicorn runs for the Heat. My guess is, honestly, you know what? I'll save my finals prediction for when each team wins, because I do think either team will get swept. But we will see about that. Let's get into our next topic. We're going to talk about the game tonight. And we're going to recap, I believe it was Saturday's game, the Lakers and the Nuggets. The Nuggets are up 3-0. They look pretty dominant. Once again, 0-149 when down 3-0 in a series. So it looks like the Lakers are probably not going to win a game, let alone the series. But we will see tonight whether or not they do. A great performance once again from Jamal Murray, dropping 37 points and 7 rebounds along with 6 assists. Jokic actually had
steals.
Jokic had a very off game, which is kind of crazy. He got foul trouble early. He was sort of close to a triple-double. He had 6 rebounds and 8 assists. So I just want to know, tonight, Game 4, LeBron getting swept for, I think, the 3rd or 4th time in his career. Does he get swept tonight in Game 4 at 8:30 by the Nuggets?
I think
at
it's,
home.
I think
How
it's
else is that?
what's the what are the odds makers saying?
I'll look it up right now. Let's see. Lakers Nuggets line spread. If I had to take a guess, it's Lakers 3.5. They have them favored.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't think they're gonna win. I think the Nuggets sweep them.
I also agree with that. I think this is where the Nuggets.
I mean, if Jamal Murray plays the way he did in that last game, there's no way they're going to win. I mean, even with Jokic having kind of an off game, they still beat him by 11 points.
Yeah.
Right? So I just think the Nuggets are really good. They really are.
I was very wrong about the Nuggets, and I'll say that up front. I thought there were maybe only 4 teams that the Nuggets could beat in these playoffs. And once again, I'll run down them. I've done this probably 4 times now, but I'll run it down again. In the playoffs, if each of these teams made the playoffs and the Nuggets played them, I thought that the Nuggets would win. It would be the Warriors. It'd be the.
You thought the Nuggets would win?
The Nuggets would be these teams. Any other team that made the playoffs, I thought would beat the Nuggets. The only 4 teams that I said the Nuggets could beat were the Warriors, the Timberwolves, the Pelicans, and the Lakers, I believe. Those are the only 4 teams that I said the Nuggets would beat. Any other team, Memphis, Sacramento,
the Warriors, and they're beating the Lakers badly.
Well, the Nuggets didn't beat the Warriors. The Lakers did. The Lakers beat the Warriors.
Well, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
Even then, though, I'll say this: what the Lakers have done is absolutely choke each of these games. They had opportunities when they've been up about halfway through the 4th quarter. And then all of a sudden, the Nuggets go on these crazy runs and just take over the game, and the Lakers can't make a basket. I think the Lakers gave up, 3 or 4 straight 3-pointers at like the 7:30 mark. They would go, miss a shot. Nuggets would get the rebound, make a 3. Lakers would take the ball, go up, get a shot, miss it. Nuggets rebound, take a 3. Lakers go up, take a shot, miss it. Nuggets get a 3. You can't stop a run.
Lakers missed a lot of shots in the first half last night.
It was very bad to see just how bad. You know, and really, I said this from the beginning. It ain't going to be about AD and LeBron versus Jamal Murray and Jokic. It's going to be about everyone else. It's going to be whether or not D'Lo could step up. How about Austin Reeves, Vanderbilt, Hachimura? Well, what about a guy named Michael Porter?
Austin Reeves has stepped up,
No,
right?
no, Austin Reeves has done amazing.
Yeah.
But also, we have to realize KCP, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, he stepped up with a good 17 points.
D'Angelo Russell had 3 points.
He's been despicable. I had so much hope. He started off so great for the Lakers, and then all of a sudden he just falls apart, which is very, very demoralizing. You had Bruce Brown, who is a deep bench player. He's probably the
15 points.
The 9th or 8th guy on the team.
5 assists, 5 rebounds.
He had a great game coming off the bench.
Very aggressive too, 5 fouls.
And that's really what's crazy about this. The Lakers have made their mark in the season shooting way more free throws than anyone else. And it just hasn't mattered. Because
there were only 19 fouls the other night.
When you shoot 10% worse on threes than your opponent, you're probably going to lose. And I'll say this about, LeBron. He's got to stop shooting threes. He made 3 of 9. But overall, his 3-point shooting has been terrible.
I know. He should quit with it. He's lost something. I don't think he's quite.
Well, he's never really had a 3-point shot.
He's not quite the player he used to be.
Well, in 38 years old, he's been like 20 years.
I'm not saying that negatively. Actually, he got 23 points, so that's no slouch. But I think that he he's not the LeBron he used to be. Actually, he's made a bunch of boo boos in this series, right? He had the dunk, he had the wide open dunk, and he tried to do something fancy and lost the ball out of bounds. He missed a layup, missing layup right at the end of the game, which would have made it a 2-point game. I think he's getting up there, and I think it's starting to show a little bit.
I probably agree with that. The Lakers, once again, I'll say this again, 3 straight games have been up, have led the game, and just haven't, stepped on the throat and said, this game is mine. That they've kept, letting up. And the Nuggets, when you have Jokic, when you have Jamal Murray going crazy, you can't let up. That's the one thing you can't do. In 3 straight games, and that's why I think if between the Celtics and the Lakers, if you told me at the beginning of the season who would have a better shot at breaking NBA history and winning a 0-3 series, and you said the Celtics or the Lakers at the beginning of the year, I would say the Celtics. But now seeing how poorly the Celtics have performed in the playoffs and how great just how close the Lakers have been in each game. Now the ending box score may not tell you that they've been close, but during the game, that's why. Maybe stats don't tell you everything. Watching the game, you see they were that close, and they just let up. So if you told me who has a higher chance right now, I would say the Lakers have a higher shot at flipping the series around. But realistically, I'm going to have to say...
They ain't going to flip the series.
I'm just saying, a better shot at doing it.
Oh, maybe.
God forbid.
If the Celtics could win tomorrow night, then they probably could win at home one game and take it back to Miami. It might wind up 4-2.
If I'm not mistaken...
It could, but I'm not counting on that.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe the Celtics this season are 1 game under 500 when playing at home. That should be, a road record, not a home record. You should be dominant at home. It's very weird to see just how bad a home record is.
It'd be interesting to see what they do with that team after the season if they wind up blown out here. I mean, I don't know. I don't see them coming back. It's never happened.
Right.
Yeah. And the Lakers, I don't know what they're going to do. They're probably still stuck with this team next year.
You think you think LeBron stays? I believe he has 2 years left on his deal. He signed a 2-year extension this season.
I think he will.
His son's coming in the league in a year or two.
Well, they'll find a way to get him on the Lakers too.
There's the question of what team's willing to take that risk because God forbid he can't play. You're going to be stuck with him.
They'll do it for LeBron.
I guarantee they'll do it for LeBron.
Yeah.
But Schroeder didn't step 2 of 5. He's generally a pretty good piece for the Lakers. He didn't step up. Hachimura again with 13 points. He didn't shoot the ball very well, 5 of 12. But still, 13 points is 13 points. Lonnie Walker even didn't shoot that poorly. 9 points, 2 of 5.
Yeah.
But we're talking about bench guys who need to step up. Malik Beasley finally played all of 57 seconds. Even Tristan Thompson got time. I forgot he's even in the league. We got guys on the Nuggets who
got 1 minute.
If not even 57 seconds. We got bench players from the Nuggets that are just outperforming, some even the starters of the Lakers. That's how crazy the series has been. The Nuggets are a dominating team. Now, this will be, I believe, their first finals appearance in their franchise's history, and I do expect them to make it to the finals because, once again,
they'll be tough to beat.
I guarantee
they play, which looks like it's Miami.
It's going to be very interesting. I think that series is closer than what people think. I think, once again, people are doubting the Heat, but also you got to realize that Jokic is a big guy. There's not many big men.
Jokic is unbelievable. He doesn't look like a basketball player to me. He doesn't look like a real athlete. And the way he runs up and down the court, he doesn't look like a true athlete.
He's huffing and puffing sometimes.
Super smart.
No,
he's really smart. He really knows what he's doing out there. He's got a high basketball IQ.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And he's got a nice shot too. And he passes extremely
He can make a couple
well.
Step back threes.
I mean, he's like a center point guard. It's kind of interesting. He's the distributor out there. He usually has tons of assists. He didn't have that many last night.
Which is crazy how the Lakers weren't able to capitalize.
I know.
Jokic had a completely off game.
Well, it was Jamal Murray, 37 points.
Yeah. Jokic was on the bench, not really scoring that many points and in foul trouble, and you couldn't dominate the game. LeBron couldn't dominate. AD couldn't dominate, even though AD actually had a pretty good game. 11 of 18. He had 18 rebounds and 28 points. It wasn't enough. Generally, when you have a guy almost 30 points and 18 rebounds, shooting 11 of 18, normally you win. Not when you have literally scrubs on the rest of your team.
Yeah. Well, the 3-point shooting was a difference again, right? 41% for the Denver and 31% for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see.
And from the field too, they were 50. Denver was 50%, and the Lakers were 45. So
closer,
Yeah.
but not as not a huge disparity. But I will say this: the Lakers got to bring back a couple people. I think you bring back Hachimura. I think you have to retain Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves in this playoff series has definitely solidified a starting spot.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a role player, as people are still calling him. I think, honestly, he could be a starter for the Lakers. I think he's proved himself in the playoffs because the playoffs show just how great of a team you are, how cohesive you could be. We saw the Warriors fell apart. The Warriors fell apart in the playoffs. They were able to beat the inexperienced Kings, but when you play a team that actually has a little bit of cohesion, the Warriors couldn't get it going. The Celtics, we felt like, are they here? Are they not? Well, it shows they're not here. They almost lost to the Sixers. The Sixers fell apart in Game 6. Game 6 was their Game 7. And in Game 7, the Sixers didn't even want to be there. And then firing their head coach and James Harden wants out.
Yeah. I think when the Celtics won big on Game 7 against the Sixers, they thought, hey, we're cruising into the finals.
Maybe.
Right? And they were wrong. They were dead wrong. They're down 3-0.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that, Miami
I'd say
Nuggets,
the Lakers,
not a bad finals.
I think they'll retain Davis, LeBron, and Reeves, and then they'll look to bring in somebody big, maybe Jaylen Brown.
That would be interesting to see. I think you gotta get off of D'Angelo Russell. I don't think they'll bring him back.
No.
He's been smaller than he is in these playoffs, so it's gonna be interesting to see just what the Lakers do. LeBron, he's gonna be 39 years old next season. I mean, we got to remember, he's also dealing with an injury. He's also like a weird injury. I think it was a hand injury, and they said they've never seen anything like this before.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I was able to come back. So maybe this is not father time as much as healing that he needs. So we'll see. Because before LeBron got hurt, he was dropping 30 a game, and he was looking. He had that Tom Brady effect where he could still drop 400 yards in a game, except this is like 35 points in a game, and still look like he's the number one player in NBA history.
Yeah, well.
Now when he's hurt, he's more of a Jaylen Brown, a very, very effective number 2, averaging about 24 points and 10 rebounds, and that's what he's done in the
12
series.
assists.
Yeah, no, he's still one of the best passers.
He's like Jokic in a way, He's a big guy that can get a lot of assists.
He's a tremendous passer. You talk about high basketball IQ.
He's got that.
LeBron has arguably the highest basketball IQ. You gotta stop shooting the 3 though. LeBron has made his career on driving the basketball.
Yeah.
Nobody. I think I still have the list up here. If I don't, that's sad. But I had a list. There's 5 things in NBA history that was off the top of my head that are impossible to stop, which is Shaq in the paint, Jordan's mid-range shot, Kareem's skyhook, Curry draining threes when Chase centers in it, and LeBron driving to the hoop. No one wants a piece of LeBron when he's driving. No one even. I mean, that could also
big
be
guy.
That could also be
Going
the NBA.
very fast.
Exactly. He was 250, 6'9", driving right at you.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a piece of that. You're gonna get run over. So it's kind of crazy. But we'll see just how the Lakers rebound. It's like, I think the big question going into next year is, have the Lakers already peaked? Is this the best Lakers we're gonna ever see?
I think so.
With the current lineup. Can they not get over the semifinals or the Western Conference Finals hump and get into the finals? I mean, what they've done with this team is already impressive.
Yeah. Well, I think getting into the Western Conference Finals speaks pretty well for them in terms of retaining some of the pieces, but getting beat 4-0 or 4-1, I don't know. I think that raises some questions.
I could agree with that. All right, we're going to take a break, but coming up, we get a sneak peek at the new and hopefully improved Mac Jones, and we discuss what NFC teams are underrated and overrated. We talk about that right after this break.
You have a lot to say. Maybe you've thought, I should start a podcast. Meet Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast ever. It's a powerful mobile app and web tool that lets you record a podcast anywhere and distribute it everywhere. It's great whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. And it's 100% free. You can record your show straight into Anchor on your phone, iPad, or the web, using any mic you want. Record alone or with friends or co-hosts anywhere in the world. You can add background music and transitions, and your listeners can send you voice messages that you can incorporate right into your next episode. If you want to produce your show using another app, you can upload your own audio directly from web or mobile and still take advantage of Anchor's totally free podcast hosting. Once your podcast is ready to publish, Anchor can automatically distribute it to every major podcast platform. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, so your listeners can hear your show wherever they want. And on the web, you can see detailed analytics about how people are listening. Plus, you'll get a great-looking profile page where anyone can listen to your podcast or subscribe to it. And if you want to ask your audience to support your work, Anchor makes it easy to collect monthly payments from the people who love your podcast and want to see it grow. You really don't need a recording studio, expensive equipment, or a bunch of technical knowledge to deal with a podcast feed. Just get started and join the diverse community of podcasters already on Anchor. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
Or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
Interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic, one of our favorite topics to do on the show. It's the New England Patriots. We got our first look of Mac Jones. I'm going to display right here. This is the new improved Mac Jones, the first throw we've ever seen Mac Jones throw in his new in the new year. This is from the Patriots Twitter. It's exciting to see because, as we remember, Mac Jones had a bit of a rift last season with Matt Patricia as his unofficial but official OC. And now, reportedly, he is, quote, energized by Belichick's decision to move on from Matt Patricia in favor of Bill O'Brien as offensive coordinator. And it's kind of crazy. When you actually get put in a certain situation, don't get screwed over by your team, all of a sudden, positive things start coming about you. We have with positive reviews of teammates and coaches that have been around Mac Jones the longest, which he's got called confident, leading like we know he can, ready to remind you, the media and the fans, not including me, why he was a playoff quarterback in year one. So I want to know, what are your expectations for Mac Jones and this offense going into the 2023-2024 NFL season?
I think that he needs to make the playoffs, and if they don't, and it's because he had a bunch of boneheaded plays, throwing interceptions and fumbling the ball, then he's out of there.
Really?
Yeah. This is his. He's got to do something this year, big time, or he's not going to be there any longer.
What do you define by big time? Would you be
make the playoffs? He doesn't even have to win a playoff game. I don't think you got to make the playoffs. It's going to be very hard for them to do. They got a very tough schedule. And their division is very tough. We went over this last week.
Let's look at this schedule. This is their schedule for 2022-2023. Now, I've seen some different websites, but generally I've seen, the repeated number I've seen is that the Patriots, this schedule is the third hardest in the NFL.
Yeah. Makes you wonder why they get such a hard schedule when they didn't make the playoffs last year. Usually you get a little easier schedule when you don't make the playoffs.
I mean, just think about the teams
they're playing. They got a terribly
playing.
hard schedule there. I don't know why that is. Somebody doesn't like them, I guess.
It's Bill Belichick, and no one likes the Patriots. So you're playing a healthy Tua maybe twice. You're playing them at least once. I don't expect him to get hurt in week one. So you're playing them at least in week two. He's undefeated against the Patriots. You're playing Aaron Rodgers with arguably a better team than he had last year. You're playing Jalen Ramsey, Patrick Mahomes. You're playing Dak Prescott in that defense. You're playing Josh Allen again with the Bills. You can't beat the Bills.
Even Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson with a brand new head coach, a Hall of Fame head coach. Justin Herbert with another receiving talent. You're playing Mike Tomlin. You know, who knows what Daniel Jones is gonna look like with new talent. You lost to the Saints with Jameis Winston on the Saints. You got Derek Carr now. Who knows what he's gonna look like? And Michael Thomas is supposedly gonna be back. So who knows what's gonna happen this season? I keep looking at the schedule and realizing there's not much faith I have in the Patriots this season, and I don't think my expectation for the Patriots is not to make the playoffs, because I think it's more than just Mac Jones making the playoffs here. Because I don't think Mac Jones solo can do it. Because there have been games where Mac Jones has
I'm
performed
not saying
very
it by
well.
himself, but I'm saying he could be the reason they don't. Because he could make a bunch of boneheaded plays and interceptions and fumbles and things that could cost them games. And if he does that and they don't make the playoffs, that's why I say he's not going to be there. If he plays well and they don't make it, well, that might be a little bit different situation. But he's got to play well.
Would you be satisfied
and keep
with
his mouth shut? He's got to keep his mouth shut.
Hell no. I mean, hey, something was wrong. Anyone with two eyeballs could see something wrong.
He alienated Matt Patricia. He alienated the whole coaching staff, right? They were Bill Belichick's unhappy with him too.
Well, Belichick's unhappy because Mac Jones went behind his back and
they should not have done that. We've talked about this at length about Mac Jones. I said it was wrong for him to do that, go behind their backs and ask for advice about running the offense from other teams. That's ridiculous. You don't do that.
Well, why wouldn't you?
And then out there on the field during the game with everyone watching, dissing Matt Patricia. That's it.
Did he or did he not deserve
that? That upset Belichick, and rightfully so.
Did he or did he not deserve to be clowned on national TV?
Who?
Matt Patricia.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Because he's a coach. He's one of the leaders. People make mistakes,
Mistakes.
He made his share of mistakes, but it's not for the players to call him out for that.
Well, Belichick wasn't. Otherwise, he wouldn't have that role in the middle of the year.
You don't know what Belichick was saying to him behind the scenes. Belichick's not going to call him out on the field.
It clearly didn't work.
Well, it didn't work. They changed. They've changed. Now there's a fresh start. New offensive coordinator. Matt Jones is energized by it. All right, let's see what he does. Energized.
Would you
He's
be
the
satisfied?
Energizer bunny.
Would you be
He's
satisfied?
got a new battery. He's ready to roll. Turn on the battery. Let's see what he can do.
Pound that drum. Would you be satisfied with a repeat of Mac Jones' rookie year? 3,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, 13 picks, 67.6% completion percentage, 92.5 passer rating.
I think those stats are okay, but the way he got there is not. As he played well at the beginning, and then he did lousy in the middle, or kind of 2/3 of the way through the season, and he finished up okay. So I think he needs to be more consistent along the way.
That's fair.
Because there were a couple of games, 3-4 games there where he played terrible. So he's got to be more consistent.
There were also a couple of games where the Patriots choked themselves. In year one, we remember the Cowboys game. Mac Jones, it was a shootout basically. The game went to overtime.
That one, I put that one on Belichick. He should have let him go for it on 4th down.
Big time on Belichick.
Having him kick a 56-yard field goal in the pouring rain. Nick Folk, whose leg is strong but not that strong, and he's not that young. I think that was asking too much. They should have let Mac Jones. And Mac Jones had completed 12 or 13 passes in a row at that point. They only had that one tipped. That I should have given him a chance to try to get it on 4th down.
What about the Vikings game? There were two.
Well, he played well in that game.
He played very well in that game.
Yeah.
The special teams, which was the Patriots' specialty for like a decade.
Special teams stunk last year.
It's crazy, when you have coaches not in the right positions because you just want to keep them on the coaching staff and fill in roles. Doesn't exactly work out the way you wanted it to.
We'll see what Joe Judge does now that he's back on special teams.
I expect them to be better. Here's the thing. Joe Judge should be nowhere near the offense. Matt Patricia should be nowhere near the offense.
He's not. He's not even on the team anymore.
Right. He's like some sort of defensive advisor, senior defensive for the Eagles. Yeah, the Eagles need some defensive help. We'll see how the Eagles defense looks. Now, Bill O'Brien, he has the clean slate mentality. Belichick has sort of had a nod of confidence for Mac Jones, say we all need to reprove ourselves, which is a little bit better than saying, yeah, Mac Jones could play, but not say he's our QB1. So it's a little bit better to hear that from Belichick. But what I expect here is I expect the same thing as his rookie year. Now, personally, I understand this is probably an unpopular opinion. I would have kept Jonnu Smith on the lineup. Now, the cap-it situation, I understand that could have been a problem. However, Jonnu Smith, we saw him when he was on the Titans with Arthur Smith. He now rejoins Arthur Smith when he was on the Falcons. I think Matt Patricia didn't know how to use him. I don't think Josh McDaniels knew how to use him. Because Bill O'Brien, I fully expected Bill O'Brien to come in this season. There were rumors even he can come in last season, like the season before. He ran a 2 tight end system with Robert Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. That was the most dynamic offense at the time. 2011, that was arguably one of Brady's best years, a top 3 year for Tom Brady. Gronk was the most dominant tight end. I think he scored 17 touchdowns in that offense, which is still a record for tight ends in a single season. Mm-hmm. Aaron Hernandez played a sort of halfback, but mainly tight end role, and it worked beautifully. Now, Josh McDaniels didn't have that specialty tight end too he could always have. And Matt Patricia can't run an offensive play. Hell, he only made 10 of them. So now you actually have what could have been a more mobile tight end along with Hunter Henry. Jonnu Smith, the more mobile tight end with Hunter Henry. Instead, you have Hunter Henry, who's a pretty good tight end all around. Now you have Mike Gesicki, who's more of a vertical tight end. He's not, super agile and a route runner. He's more of a vertical tight end. So we're going to see. It gives him more pass catching, but it doesn't exactly give him that versatility of maybe having him in a backfield.
That tight end combination of Hernandez and Gronk. Gronk is a special player.
Oh, I understand.
Right? I mean, look at the physical specimen, the size
Completely
of him.
agree. Yeah.
Right? And the motivation he had, and the smarts, the football IQ. Gronk is a special player. He's a Hall of Fame player.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith would have been Gronk and Hernandez. What I'm saying is that type of offense worked very, very well, and I think Bill O'Brien could have done the same thing.
I'm not sure they had the players to make it work with Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith.
But do you think that do you think Bill O'Brien will go back to
Jonnu Smith, he made a lot of mistakes.
Well,
He's in there. They throw him the ball. His hands were stone. The ball would bounce up in the air, be intercepted. He'd drop it. He had penalties against him. He did not play well for the Patriots. He might be a great player. Maybe he'll do great when he goes to work with
Arthur Smith
again. Yeah. But for the Patriots, he was not good.
Do you think Bill O'Brien will go back to that 2010s offense?
I hope so. I think that was I like that offense. I think if they think these tight ends can manage that, then they ought to give it a try.
I honestly think it'd be very, very successful because the Patriots
this
had
guy from Miami, is he any good?
Mike Gesicki. It's weird. The Dolphins seem to want to get off him for the past 3 years, and now all of a sudden they're off of him. I would say he's an okay. I think he's a B tight end. But so is I think Hunter Henry's a B plus, A minus.
Didn't draft a tight end this year,
right? And thank God Belichick can't draft offense. So we'll see. I mean, the last tight ends they drafted was Matt Lacoste and was it Dan?
A Sissy.
Yeah, a Sissy. And
they drafted a Sissy.
I think it's Ossie actually.
Ossie, whatever his name is.
It doesn't make any sense. You go from Gronk Hernandez and then Ben Watson to Ossie. Ryan Izzo and Lacoste. I don't understand how you just the offense and Belichick do not blend whatsoever together in draft. I don't have the wide receiver draft here, but that is abysmal. You maybe had one hit that retired at the end of the year, which was Malcolm Mitchell, who I think had a lot of potential. So my expectation is rookie year. I'd be completely fine with him putting up rookie year numbers again. Because they made the playoffs.
How about the consistency throughout the year? You want him to be high halfway through the year and then have a stretch of abysmal play and then kind of limp to the finish line? Is that what you want? Or do you want him to be doing better along the way? Because the first few games there, man, they're going to have a hard time winning them.
Oh, absolutely. I want to bring up the schedule again. My full expectation.
Look at the Eagles.
Yeah.
Chances are they're not going to win that.
They could start over 4.
I think they've done well. They've done well against Miami at home in the past.
But not versing Tua.
I think that's a win they could get. And I don't know if they can beat the Jets with the Jets team they have now. It's going to be everyone's going to be expecting them the Jets to win that game. So I think at Dallas, I think those 2 games are going to be hard to win. They could be 1 and 3.
They could be 0-4. There's a high likely chance
they're
1-3.
And they've started the year last 2 years. They've started the year terrible.
Yeah,
right.
Actually, for a little while, they start off the year pretty bad. There was one time in 2019 where the Patriots start off with 8-0, and that's because they played absolute bums in the first 8 games. And then when they played the Ravens, a competent team, they got blown out. I think it was 34-21 or something like that. Some crazy line. Also, Belichick doesn't do well against mobile quarterbacks, which the Eagles have, which Tua is. Who else?
Aaron Rodgers
Josh
is
Allen
not that immobile, actually.
He's starting to become
more immobile.
Yeah, he's not
still,
taking
he can
shots.
move around. Dak Prescott can move around.
Dak Prescott can move. Derek Carr's got some mobility, kind of, sort of. Not compared to the rest of them. Josh Allen can move. Once again, Tua can move. Well, who is Anthony Richardson going to play for the Colts?
Nobody's expecting a whole lot from the Patriots, really.
You're right. They have the lowest
7.5 game wins.
The lowest in 22 years.
Yeah.
And that's coming, I believe, it was the first year of Belichick, and I believe that was the 5-8 year, 5-11 year. Sorry. I mean, is Anthony Richardson going to start? Belichick doesn't do well against mobile quarterbacks. If Anthony Richardson starts, who knows what that's going to be?
I think that the rookie quarterbacks don't beat Belichick.
Daniel Jones with more talent? Just spitballing here.
We'll see what the offensive line is like this year. They didn't do much to help it in the draft, right?
You're right. You drafted kickers, punters, and defensive players. The normal Bill Belichick draft.
Yeah.
And then you picked up a guy from the Broncos, I want to say. You also picked up another offensive lineman. I don't have the people in front of me, but they're not all that. You're not picking up a big
They may
name.
not be done. They usually do some stuff right after the cuts are made.
Maybe
they pick up a player or two that way. So
hey, I'm gonna say this right now. I didn't take a hard deep look at it, but there's some defensive players I think Belichick. I thought he'd be interested in getting, like Marcus Peters. He's been a pretty good cornerback for them. I was surprised that no one actually has picked them up. But I thought honestly that maybe Belichick would go for someone like that, a defensive back, a veteran defensive back. Who I think
they
still
drafted that guy from Oregon, right? He's an all-world.
Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised he's gone down to 17. But hey, the Patriots got him, and I'm hoping, he actually turns out the way his draft report was, and that's
I think the
insane.
fact they didn't draft a wide receiver is a message to Mac Jones. Keep your mouth shut.
But you're also screwing him over again by not drafting. You're setting him up once again for failure.
No, they're saying, you know what? Make do with what you got. Look what Tom Brady did with some of the
you can't compare
with the receivers he had on the Patriots. He had a bunch of no-name players, and he set records with his passing. So step up, Mac.
You can't do that.
Step up and play.
You're going to compare Daniel Jones to Tom Brady, saying he's throwing the bums, so every quarterback should be able to throw the bums and win Super Bowls? It's an unfair comparison. And that's what the Patriots fans are doing.
The Patriots don't have bums at wide receiver.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
They have one. They're arguably one of the worst wide receiver corps in the NFL.
Wow.
You don't have a wide receiver one. And by the way, Kayshon Boutte, who you thought
there you go,
he may not even make the cut. There's now rumors he won't. There's a decent chance, a decent high chance he won't even make the cut.
Oh, really? Huh.
He may get cut before he even has a chance to play in a single game. Now,
I think they'll get rid of Thornton before they give Boutte. They'll give Boutte a chance.
I don't know about that. Hey, we'll also have an offensive weapon that I think has been in decline, but still could be a decent short yardage back. But maybe not. Ezekiel Elliott's still not signed. You might want to try picking him up, maybe. I'm just saying maybe.
He's had it. He's been pounded around so many years. I don't think he's got anything much left in the tank.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't think...
The Patriots don't need a running back. Don't need running backs.
Maybe. Jadeveon Clowney, Belichick loves his defensive ends.
He's still out there?
He's still out there, but he's not as great.
He's over the hill.
Yeah, he's not as great. There are a decent amount of players here on the free agent list that I'm going down that are like decent to still good that I think Belichick could be interested in. But I don't know if they'll go for it. Like Kenny Galladay, he was terrible for the Giants. He had one touchdown catch in, I think,
Nobody
2-3
wants
years.
him, huh?
Nobody wants him still. Byron Jones.
He's a big guy, Galladay.
Yeah, but he's not that great, apparently. There's some talents out there that I think Belichick would be interested in. But hearing that Mac Jones is energized is a good sign.
Yeah, well, you know what? He probably may be interested in those guys. He's waiting a little longer so their price tag goes down. Right?
Could be.
You can pick him up for next to nothing.
Could be. But it's also good to hear now positive reviews are coming out from coaches. And first of all, the teammates have always had Mac Jones's back. Even when he was doing all the stuff that you adamantly opposed to, the teammates were agreeing with him all the time. But now teammates and coaches are each saying that, he's confident in being a leader in the locker room and on the field, which is always good. He's going to,
maybe
resurgence here, as I like to call it. And I expect that. But I would be very satisfied with rookie numbers. I would like it, maybe 2 or 3 fewer interceptions, but going, turn them into touchdowns. So 25 touchdowns, 10 picks, about 3,800 yards. I'm fine with that. 67% completion percentage would be more than enough for me.
What record will they have with those stats?
Well, here's the thing. Once again, take a look at the schedule.
You don't have them making the playoffs.
I have them winning 7 games.
Yeah.
That's most likely outcome. But look at the schedule. They have the third hardest schedule in the NFL.
Very hard.
So I think Mac Jones will look terrible. Honestly, they can go 0-4. Mac Jones will look absolutely terrible. But look at the teams that's the thing. Context is huge. Mac Jones may play terribly. Like last season was bad, and the context was he didn't trust the offense. The offense didn't trust the offense, and they had like the puppet run the offense. They had 10 plays, 10 passing plays for a second-year quarterback. You're screwing him over. In this context, Look at the teams you're playing. If you lose to the Saints, if you get decimated by the Saints, if you lose to Washington, if you lose to the Colts, if you lose to the Giants, I would say that's on Mac Jones. Unless there's some weird play like a safety, what's it called? A special teams error like in the Vikings game.
Yeah, well, if you lose to the Eagles 24-21 and Mac Jones has 4 interceptions, then that's on him too.
Could be.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. So, rookie numbers for me, you're saying make the playoffs, which is pushing it with that schedule.
Yeah, and if you're going to have those numbers, play more consistently instead of this up, down. Yeah.
Hey, Jason Tatum effect. Up, down. First team All-NBA. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
All right, I want to close out this show by quickly going over the NFC over-under list, and this is what they look like. So we did this last time with our AFC. We had a couple. You had a couple strange picks in there, as did I. A couple interesting selections. But let's go with the NFC East. Eagles over/under 10.5 wins for next season. What do you got?
Over.
How many wins you say they're getting?
11.
11 wins. Cowboys 9.5.
Over 10.
10. So Eagles take the division. Giants at 8.5 wins. They went 9-6-1 last season.
Over 9.
9 wins. Okay, so they sort of repeat last season. And the Commanders at 7.5.
I think it's over.
9-7-1. Sorry, 8.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I'll go Eagles. I'll say Eagles under. I say they win 10. I say the Cowboys match them. So I go Cowboys over 10. I think the Eagles retain the division title though. Giants, I'm going under. I'm saying they win 8. Commanders, very much under. I say they win 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. The NFC North. The Lions don't even break double digits after last season. 9.5 over under.
Under.
Woo!
9.
Really? Wow. Okay. Vikings 8.5 over under.
Over.
How
9.
many? 9 wins. Who do you have winning the title?
I think the Lions will get the title.
Lions will get okay. The Packers 7.5 with Jordan Love.
I think over. I think they get
Over.
8 wins.
Interesting. Okay, and the Bears. They
Under. They might have 2 wins.
2 wins.
I don't know. Maybe better than 2. But
you're
I
saying
think
under. You're saying under.
Under. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm going Lions over. I think they get to the 10-win spot. Vikings, I'm shocked. Kind of. Their defense was terrible. They got rid of some of their best defensive players, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm going over at 9 wins. I don't think they go 11-0 one-score games like they did last year. Packers, I'm going over as well. I think they win 8 games along with you. And I'm going with Bears under. I think they win 7.
Yeah.
I think the NFC North is going to be a pretty decent division with the amount of moves.
The only reason I went under on the Lions is, they had a good season. They started out terrible last year. They rebounded, right? They had a chance to make the playoffs at the end there, and they didn't. Well, they won the game, but the didn't work out for them.
Seattle already won the game.
Seattle already won. So I just think the Lions had such a bad history that whether they can do 2 years in a row or not, it's hard for me to believe 2 years in a row they'd be good.
I'll say this to give a little more context to what you're saying. The offense wasn't the problem beginning last year. They were the highest scoring off. It was the defense.
Did they do better in the draft for the defense?
They got arguably the best linebacker, Jack Campbell, in the first round. But you also decided to draft a second-round running back as your number 12 pick. That still blows my mind. But you also got off DeAndre Swift. But still, you could have gotten a better player at number 12 instead of a second-round running back. Blows my mind, but it is what it is. All right, NFC South, the Saints, Derek Carr and Michael Thomas.
Under
9.5?
9.
9 wins, okay. Who takes the title then? Let's see, Panthers 7.5. What do you got? Under.
7.
7. Falcons?
Under 7.
Okay, that's interesting. And Buccaneers 6.5.
Under 6.
6. I'm going Saints under. I said they also win 9. I'll go Panthers. Damn. I'm going to go Panthers over with 8.
Come on. They got a rookie. The guy
Bryce
is a
Young.
rookie. Bryce Young, rookie quarterback. He's going to make a ton of mistakes.
I keep hearing best quarterback in the draft. You know what? Prove it. Win 8 games.
Yeah.
This team.
I don't know. You could be the best quarterback in the draft and still not win 8 games.
No, that's fair. But I'll say this. The Panthers last year had a surprisingly good defense. Now you got off Steve Wilkes. I still think that's a mistake.
Yeah, I do too.
But you got Frank Reich. He's an offensive guy, so we'll see. Bryce Young, offensive head coach, we'll see. Falcons, I'm gonna say they go Bijan Rob. I don't trust Desmond Ridder. I just simply don't trust Desmond Ridder. They made a bunch of acquisitions on defense. They got Bijan Robinson. You got Drake London. You got Kyle Pitts. You got Jonnu Smith. I still think you're going under with 7 wins though. Buccaneers, they go under. I say they win 5 games. Sorry, Baker Mayfield.
Who's the Falcons quarterback this year?
Desmond Ridder. Still,
yeah, he's not going to be
7 wins,
yeah.
7 wins, sort of 6 wins.
Yeah.
And the Buccaneers, I'm sorry, Baker Mayfield. I had faith in you last year. I don't this year. You get 5 wins for me. And finally, what used to be the hardest division in football, the NFC West, the 49ers, with or without Brock Purdy, who knows? 11.5 wins, over under.
Over.
Okay.
12.
12 wins. They take the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Yeah, I think so.
Seahawks, over under.
I think they get 9 wins.
9 wins, tie the Giants up there, I think. Rams, over under 7.5.
I think they get 8 wins.
8 wins, that's an over. And then the Cardinals without Kyler Murray for maybe half the season.
I think it's over. I give them 6 wins.
6 wins, interesting. 49ers, the early quarterback situation may cause problems. If they go 0-4, they need to win 12 straight to go over. I'm still picking the over though. I think Purdy will be ready by week 1. I think it'll be close. They may start Trey Lance for week 1, but after that, I don't think so. I'll go over for the 49ers. Seahawks, Geno Smith, can he repeat a comeback year? He got a new receiver, JSN, arguably the best receiver in the draft. I'm going
He's
over.
already got DK Metcalf.
And Tyler Lockett as well.
Yeah, right.
I think they nailed the draft again. They got Devon Witherspoon as well at cornerback, so they have 3 great cornerbacks now. I'm going over at 9.5 wins. Rams, no one believes in them apparently. They forgot, when they were actually healthy. I think people forget that they were injured all of last year. And all of a sudden, the Rams are bums. They just went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago and won it when they were healthy. Cooper Kupp almost set records 2 years ago. And guess what? He's coming back. Matthew Stafford coming back.
Matthew Stafford's getting old.
He is, but he just won a Super Bowl. Aaron Donald coming back. Now, the Rams doing something a little bit weird.
They need an offensive line.
The offensive line is terrible. I will give you that. But the Rams are doing something weird. They're saying screw defense, only offense, which is a strange tactic, but it may work. Sean McVay is a weird guy. He's a very great offensive mind. We saw what he's done a number of years with the Rams. He went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff. How did that happen? Who knows? I'll pick the over. I say they win 9 games. I'm going Rams 9 games. I think they tie the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks beat them in the division, though. And Cardinals, I'm going under. You win 4 games for me. You are the worst team in the NFL. I think I have that as well as my AFC. I think they're the worst team. Get the number 1 pick. Plus, they could have the
worst team in the NFL or in the NFC?
NFC and NFL.
Really?
That's what they're actually projected this season. Now, what's crazy is the situation if the Cardinals would be the number 1 seed in the draft. The scenario plays out perfectly. I believe they would have the number 1 and 2 pick. You could draft Caleb Williams, so you can get off Kyler Murray, who once again, no coach wanted to be solidified with Kyler Murray. You have the opportunity to draft Caleb Williams at number 1, and you can get him a phenomenal wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 2. So you have 2 great offensive pieces coming in. You can get off Kyler Murray in his contract because no coach wanted to stay connected with Kyler Murray, to have him under his wing for the next 4 years. You can get off that situation or have him there for 1 more year. Then when the cap gets bad, get off him. And there you go. The situation plays out perfectly. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Cardinals do because Kyler Murray, I'm hearing no reports on the Kyler Murray situation and what his status is. He got hurt towards the end of the year.
An ACL. So
he tore his ACL. So I'm expecting about halfway through the year he'll be back. But I haven't heard a single thing about it yet. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I think that does wrap up today's episode of the Harvey Hour. Thank you all for watching. The Lakers are on in about an hour. Should be an interesting game to see whether or not the Nuggets can sweep and be the first team in the finals, solidify their spot in the NBA Finals. It'll be interesting to see whether or not LeBron gets swept. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name is Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We are the Harvey Hour. We will catch you guys. Catch me Wednesday.
Thanks for watching.
The number 1 fan out there. Wednesday, 3 p.m. for me. Both of us Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Good night.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
Podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.